My name is Devon Brewer, and I'm going to talk about strategies for successful grant proposals. Because I will give advice about how to write grant proposals, let me tell you a little bit about my background. I have over 25 years of experience in writing successful grant proposals in the health sciences. I have been a principal investigator on several grants and a key contributor to many others. I have written funded proposals or reviewed proposals for the National Institutes of Health, the National Science Foundation, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the Health Resources and Services Administration, the Medical Research Council, private foundations, and other agencies. As a scientific advisor and writer with ScienceDocs, I help researchers develop and compose effective proposals and manuscripts. In this tour of writing grant proposals, I'll start with what I think is an essential mindset for the whole enterprise. This mindset leads to specific actions to ensure the content and presentation of a proposal matches a grant opportunity. Then I'll highlight some logistic and bureaucratic matters to address for an effective submission. I'll close with some suggestions about how to build skill in developing and writing grant proposals and where you can get feedback on and help in preparing proposals. Although most of the examples I give relate to funding agencies in the United States, the strategies I discuss are likely to be useful in other countries as well. To have an effective mindset for writing a successful grant proposal, it helps to understand two basic facts of the research grant game. The first is that funders give grants to advance their missions, which usually are of a practical, political, economic, or ideological nature. A project that is not aligned with the funder's agenda will not get funded, no matter how excellent, important, or creative the science is. The second basic fact is that scientists who apply for research grants and contracts, therefore, are vendors offering research projects for sale. So a research grant is not a handout just to advance your career or satisfy your curiosity, although you might be able to achieve these while benefiting your funder. If you are selling your research, it pays to follow the first rule of sales: know your customer. But who are your customers? They are the review panel and funding agency officials. The review panel is an intermediary, and you have to make your offer appeal to their agendas too. They will try, to a certain extent, to adhere to agency priorities and views, but they will also have their own that they seek to apply when reviewing proposals. And reviewers may vary in their individual agendas as well. There are several strategies you can use to know your customers with respect to the content of your proposed research. Usually, you have an idea for a research project and want to seek funding for it. In this case, the first step is to search for potential funders. Consider all types of possible sponsors, including government agencies, private foundations, industrial corporations, patient advocacy groups, and other nonprofit organizations. Grants.gov has a directory to all federal funding agencies. I've given the link here. Search the web intensively for non-government funders. Once you've identified a potential funder, pick the most relevant grant opportunities or programs. I've given the links to listings for the National Institutes of Health and the National Science Foundation. Examine the alternatives thoroughly. Look for good fits in terms of topic and size of project. If you don't have an idea to begin with, reviewing funding opportunity announcements, or FOAs, may spark an idea. If you already had an idea, you may decide to modify it in light of these announcements. Next, identify the specific target for your proposal within the funding agency. Study previous grants made by the program or programs in which you're interested. I've given links to the relevant databases for the National Institutes of Health and the National Science Foundation. If you plan to submit to the National Institutes of Health, also examine the emphases and rosters of the review panels, called study sections. Search for publications by the reviewers and visit their web pages to understand their specialties and inclinations. These sources of information will help you decide precisely which program, FOA, and review panel is best for your project. Try to find the program and review panel that is most similar to your idea in substantive, methodological, and theoretical terms. Avoid programs and review panels that are likely to be hostile to or unfamiliar with your approach and perspective. Once you have identified your target program and FOA, or are still uncertain, email and then call the program officer to discuss your idea. The program officer may give you a sense of the program's current priorities and the tendencies of the review panel. This is as close as you can get to communicating with your ultimate customer. Take seriously what the program officer tells you. After all of this, you may want to revise your idea further based on what you have learned. In the proposal itself, make sure you highlight how your project will address one or more topics listed in the FOA, if they were specified. As you write, take the agency's perspective. Show how your work connects to the funder's priorities and goals. Don't propose research to a government agency that is difficult or impossible to fund for political reasons. Don't propose research to other funders that is at odds with their ideologies. Try to make your proposal seem like it is within the same stream of research as that of the reviewers and recent grantees. Reviewers can be very tribal, and they want to feel like they are supporting one of their own. Integrate your proposed project with their work and cite it. Truly revolutionary ideas are not fundable. Most scientists will not break entirely with convention or current understanding without evidence, and a proposal is merely a plan to gather evidence. Individual scientists can take such risks on their own, but funders generally do not. You still can propose something new or different as long as it doesn't challenge foundational beliefs. Reviewers and funders want to support successful projects, so include any preliminary data and results you have related to your proposed research to demonstrate the viability and potential outcomes for your project. Although a proposal is a sales document, maintain scientific integrity throughout. Describe prior work fairly, give others credit where it is due, ensure all claims have a factual basis, and avoid hyperbole. Include best practices, such as pre-registration of study protocols and public archiving of data in your plans. Acknowledge limitations and state how you will address them or why the project is valuable despite them. The content of other sections beyond the main text are important too. Unless the grant is small or for new investigators, at least one of the main investigators on the project should have considerable research experience in the area of the proposal. A track record, typically demonstrated by relevant publications, is crucial for all key researchers on the project. Show that you are ready to begin the project. Identify by name, if possible, who will fill each major role, rather than indicating the person is to be determined. Exclude individuals with nominal involvement for tiny percentages of time unless they fill very specific and limited technical roles. Budgets are often scrutinized by reviewers and funders alike, regardless of the detail required in the proposal. Overestimation of a budget can be a sign of inexperience or attempted abuse of grant funds. Underestimation of a budget can also be a sign of inexperience and ignorance. If the funder requires a description of specific costs, justify exactly how they are necessary for the project and the project alone. Many funders cut grantees' budgets after awarding their grants for reasons unrelated to those specific projects. So be ready with a backup plan of how you would achieve your project goals with, for example, a 10% or 25% cut to your budget. Knowing your customer also applies to how you present your proposed project. If you do not prepare your proposal well, it has no chance at funding, no matter how good your content is. How well you prepare the proposal reflects your attention to detail, ability to adhere to procedures, and communication skills, which are all essential for carrying out a successful research project. Therefore, follow all application instructions exactly. Consider your reviewers constantly as you write and design your proposal. Few reviewers will be expert on your specific topic, and many might even be from entirely different fields. Sometimes only one or two reviewers give comments on a proposal, so chance may figure prominently in who will review your proposal. Remember that reviewers are tired and overworked volunteers in a rush. These circumstances have several implications for how you will compose your proposal. Because you cannot know the extent of the reviewer's knowledge, explain your assumptions and all specialized concepts, techniques, theories, and terms. The project summary or abstract in the specific aims section in National Institutes of Health proposals are the most important parts of the proposal text. These are the only parts some reviewers will read in full as they skim the rest. For all reviewers, these parts set the tone. Good first impressions can be lost, but bad first impressions are very difficult to overcome. As with all scientific writing, brevity is critical. Reviewers have other proposals to read, and unnecessary words and material hurt your case. Organize and format your proposal in simple, clear, and consistent ways so reviewers can navigate and find information easily. Avoid using text effects, such as bolding and underlining within paragraphs. These effects imply some words and sentences are more important than others, which readers can interpret as meaning the others, can be skipped. Considerable planning and coordination with administrators are required to produce a successful proposal. Expect to spend at least several months developing and preparing all aspects of your proposal. Writing a grant proposal is not like writing a research article. It is more like writing 2 or 3 long research articles in terms of time and effort involved. We humans, especially scientists writing grant proposals, are chronic underestimators of the time needed to accomplish tasks. Remember Hofstadter's law. It always takes longer than you expect, even when you take into account Hofstadter's law. Make a schedule for when you and others will do different tasks for the proposal. Build in extra cushions of time and hard deadlines. Stick to the schedule. If you fall too far behind, be prepared to postpone submission to a later grant cycle or another opportunity. Once you have identified the funder and grant opportunity you will seek, make sure you are eligible to serve as principal investigator and that your organization is eligible to receive the grant. Check that the grant duration and overall cost allowed fits with your project idea. If your organization is new to seeking research grants, especially from government funders, there may be various registrations and accounts that your administrators will need to establish. Also, your proposal schedule should include all relevant deadlines set by the funder. The administrative aspect of a proposal is just as important as the scientific aspect. Once you decide to develop a proposal, meet with administrators at your organization. Figure out who will be responsible for each component of the proposal and every task related to it. Identify internal deadlines. Incorporate the division of labor and these internal deadlines into your proposal development schedule. Good relationships with administrative staff are crucial for preparing a successful proposal. If possible, seek advice and guidance from experienced grant administrators. They can help you avoid bureaucratic problems both with the funder and your own organization. Prioritize getting the necessary approvals from your organization's biosafety, animal care, or human subjects committees. You may need to revise your planned project and go through multiple committee meeting cycles before your proposal is approved. The best way to learn how to write successful grant proposals is to apprentice with experienced writers of successful grant proposals. If this is not possible for you, then volunteer to proofread or review a proposal by a colleague who has received grants before. Another option is to ask colleagues whether you could study successful grant proposals that they have written. In a grant proposal, you are not only selling a research project, you are also selling yourself. You stand a better chance at funding if you are a known contributor to the field. Therefore, present at conferences, publish your work, and agree to review manuscripts in your field before you develop a proposal, if possible. Reviewers and funders are putting their trust in you just as much as they are your idea and plan. Getting feedback on a proposal may be even more important than getting feedback on a manuscript, because a proposal is a plan that still can change, while a manuscript is a report of something that already happened. At a minimum, have all key scientific personnel proofread and review the whole proposal. Ask other colleagues to review the proposal as well and seek their feedback on your ideas even before you begin writing. There are also other resources you can draw on. At ScienceDocs, we help researchers in all phases of developing and writing grant proposals and manuscripts. We have experts in every specialty ready to assist. You can learn more at ScienceDocs.com. Thank you for your attention.